time, insanely edgy.
We use our abilities for good. Life-saving missions. For instance, the way we
was so, at the time, insanely edgy.
That show was a huge, huge influence.
Springfield's a magical land that's built for comedy writers.
The Simpsons actually made my career. This isn't about show business.
It's not the traditional liberal, politically correct family, but how dull would that be?
It's hard not to love Homer. My favorite character is probably Ralph.
I just can't say enough about Brockman. I'd hire him. To see something like this just rise out of the manure pile that was animation was just pretty amazing.
Da, 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 da. Be considered one of the great writers in comedy, you kind of have to take a little tour through The Simpsons.
Marge is one of a kind in many ways.
I never saw Marge in that way. I never looked at her as a sex object. I do now.
It's almost like if you like The Simpsons, it's like somebody liking dogs. You know, if you gotta be a little distrustful, somebody hates. I hate dogs. I hate a dog.
Hi, I'm Morgan Spurlock. When Fox asked me to make a special celebrating The Simpsons' 20th anniversary, like any good Simpsons geek, I immediately said yes. But then I realized how far I'd have to go and how much ground I'd have to cover. In an attempt to understand the epidemic spread of yellow fever, I'm going to take you around the country and across the globe to find out why this show has become both the cash cow and sacred golden entertainment calf worshipped by the entire world.
My dad loves The Simpsons. I love The Simpsons.
This is everything. I'll hear from the people on the front lines of obsessive fandom.
It says The Simpsons on it. I have to have it.
Explore how the Simpsons have undermined America's status as the most beloved country in the world.
Or America.
And discover how the show has touched the lives of millions. This is The Simpsons 20th Anniversary Special in 3D! Oh, nice. It all started 22 years ago when a young cartoonist by the name of Matt Groening was summoned to the altar of Hollywood legend, Mr. Jim Brooks.
I had been an underground cartoonist for 10 years before I got the Hollywood call. It was about time!
I finished my first movie, and as a gift, somebody I was working with gave me a framed copy of one of Matt's Life in Hell cartoons, and it was the 12 Ways to Die in Los Angeles, and the last two was Failure and Success. And I just loved it and hung it up. The thought was in the Tracy Ullman show to have our bumpers be actually entertainment things, and we decided to do cartoons, and I thought of Matt right away.
I got called into the office. While I was waiting, I found out that maybe whatever I did in this fledgling network, I was going to lose control of. And I thought, I've got my comic strip Life in Hell. That's what I was going to do. I said, forget that. I got to save the bunnies from myself. So I made up new characters on the spot. I drew The Simpsons, named them after my own family because that's a whole other psychodrama, and the rest is history.
There's nothing to worry about. Now, everyone go to sleep.
Dan Castellaneta and I were there. And then they hired Nancy Cartwright and Yardley Smith to play the two kids. And lucky me, I think Tracy was too tired.
Tracy, you're busy rehearsing, because I was pretty much in everything. So, Julie, Dan, would you come up to the booth and do these voices?
I read for Bart, and that was fairly short-lived. And then they said, here's a picture of his sister, Lisa. She's 8. So I went up like that to Lisa Simpson.
It was just Matt Groening and me. And I went in and I said, hey, do you mind, you mind, I was here to read for the girl, but do you mind if I read for Bart? Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, that's him, that's Bart. Hired me on the spot.
Behold, Neanderthal man!
Fox approached Jim Brooks about doing these little short Simpsons cartoons as a TV special. I talked to him and I said, no, we got to do a whole series.
They committed what for them was an enormous amount of money, because they were almost broke.
There had not been a primetime animated series on television for a generation, and it was considered a risky thing to do.
I took the job here, I had fun, but I didn't tell anyone what I was doing because I thought I really hit rock bottom.
Sam Simon called me and said, we want to make you a regular on the show, and I said, no.
I used to say, hey guys, we're 13 and out.
Like, they're only going to let us do 13. We'll do 13, we'll have fun, and then we're gone.
Maybe it'll be these 13 episodes will be like a cult. It'll be a cult following.
The show premiered as the highest rated show in the history of Fox.
I remember a headline on the front page of the New York Post, owned by the same person who owns The Simpsons, that said, Simpsons beats Cosby, then the #1 show in the country.
I'll never be in the Beatles, I assume, but it's the closest thing I could ever imagine to that happening, where when this show came on the air, I couldn't believe how much attention it got.
Well, I think it's been the most successful spin-off ever.
But it's a lot more than just a spin-off. The Simpsons is an award-winning, record-breaking machine that has shattered expectations at every turn. And now, it's the longest-running primetime show on television, even passing both Gunsmoke and The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet.
If you ask me, that's a little too fast.
It's won 25 Emmys, 26 Annies, 6 Genesis Awards, 6 Writers Guild of America Awards, 4 People's Choice Awards, 2 British Comedy Awards, 2 Kids' Choice Awards, a Prism, a Satellite, and even a Golden Reel. Ooh! It's been called one of the best TV shows of all time, and the top show of the past 25 years. Countless magazines have devoted their covers to America's favorite family. But it's not just America. The Simpsons has redefined the term global phenomenon, airing in more than 90 countries and in over 45 different languages.
Oh, examen gratuit pour tes
Ah, soy tío. Damit wollen Sie dich nur anlocken, damit...
es un truco para que llegues ahí.
And it's more than comedy genius. The Simpsons is merchandising gold. Just about anything under the sun that can be manufactured has been sold with a Simpsons logo on it.
Bed sheets, bottle openers, lunchboxes, you name it, they had it.
Quite literally, The Simpsons have taken over the world. They have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a house in Vegas, a ride at Universal Studios. They've been in our homes, on our streets, in our stores. They've been on stamps, on planes, and they've taken to the skies as balloons.
In order to ensure that the pig doesn't cause any trouble, we do have a marksman on hand who will be able to bring the pig down to earth.
Today, there's no escaping the grasp of those stubby little yellow fingers. We wear Simpsons clothing. We get Simpson tattoos. We take Simpson classes. We even speak Simpsonese. In 2001, the word dough was officially added to the Oxford English Dictionary.
Dough. Expressing frustration at the realization that things have turned out badly.
Quite simply, it's more than just a show. It's a multi-million-dollar comedic freight train and marketing juggernaut that's gone off the rails and has completely altered the cultural landscape as we know it. This is The Simpsons 20th Anniversary Special. A lot of shows give you a couple of characters, maybe 2 or 3 guys, a couple of girls, and if you're lucky, a monkey. But The Simpsons gives you an entire world. From an enterprising entrepreneur to a crack police squad to a young idealistic politician, Springfield is populated by just about every character known to man.
Dr. Nick, comic book guy. Lenny and Carl.
Frank Rhymes.
Milhouse.
Barney. Flanders.
Chief Wiggum.
Sideshow Bob.
Hans Moleman. Bouvier Sisters.
They built this world of relatable characters, like Mr. Burns and Chief Wiggum and Mo the bartender, and it started to feel like people's town.
Springfield becomes a great place to parody and caricature any aspect of American town or city life.
Beautiful, huh?
The one thing I think about Springfield is that it's all the side characters, too. It's not just the family.
Apu, I think, is probably my favorite character.
Oh, Mercy, delightful fella. Sorry about the salmonella.
I like Apu because he's always in a great mood. And when you're writing him, you have to be in a great mood. You're always kind of smiling.
How much is your petty candy?
Surprisingly expensive.
Unlike every single other person in Springfield, he works really hard.
I like Mo because he reminds me of like a lot of my uncles growing up.
If I'm not smiling when your check comes, your meal's on me, Uncle Mo.
I just walked into a room with Matt Groening and Sam Simon to do Mo the bartender. And I made sound like Pacino. You know, I'm dying here. So I made this sound gravelly, and then that was Mo.
Here, I brought you some posies.
I love Mo's sort of misanthropic nature.
When I catch you, I'm gonna pull out your eyes and shove them down your pants so you can watch me kick the crap out of you, okay?
Having been the mayor of Cincinnati, and then I see Mayor Quimby, he's very corrupt. If you speak like a Kennedy, you're halfway home.
Ducking this issue calls for real leadership.
I mean, he truly is the most patronizing politician I've ever seen in my life.
I'm a bad little boy.
The corruption, the graft, the sexual escapades, the heavy drinking. Yeah, no, it's just, typical day in the office.
I think my favorite character is probably Mr. Burns.
Why is the richest and oldest man in the world living in Springfield? Why isn't he in New York City or Buenos Aires or Rome? No, he's in Springfield.
He's gonna make a tuxedo out of our puppies.
If someone could just put me out in a pasture somewhere in a beautiful part of Spain and say your job is just, we'll pay you $1 a year and you can have some cheap red wine and just think of weird things for Mr. Burns to say and do, I would take that job.
Smithers is really funny because, you're really not sure about his sexual preference.
Glad counts Smithers as a gay character because the show has definitely told us that he's gay. We would love the character Smithers to progress by becoming more open about his sexual orientation in the community. Maybe he kind of starts a gay employee resource group down at the plant.
Kent Brockman has, in his own little world, got it going on. If you can fake the everyman thing, you've got it made. And that's clearly what Kent has made his bones doing.
I don't know much, but I do know a few things about television news. And to get it bullseye every time, well, I tip the Stetson to them.
He's got a little bit of that pomposity going, which we forgive, because television anchors do something special. We get to tell people what happened.
But as vast as the world of Springfield may seem, it was all inspired by the gray, cold, wet, and sleepy hamlet of Portland, Oregon.
Many of the characters on the show are named after streets in Portland. I had this idea. The streets in Northwest Portland are all in alphabetical order, and I thought it'd be really fun if people would be driving down 23rd Street and they would see Kearney, Lovejoy, Quimby, Flanders, Terwilliger. And the only reason there are not more characters is because I just couldn't think of the names of the streets off the top of my head.
So I'm off to the City of Roses to see some Springfieldian sights, including the real inspiration for Springfield Elementary. So you are the principal here at Springfield Elementary.
I am, yep.
How does it feel, knowing that you are kind of the model school?
It's all sinking in right now.
Are you different than Princess
Skinner?
Skinner?
I'm a lot different than Skinner, yeah. I'm not having an affair with any of the teachers.
Not yet.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Another hometown icon that's resurfaced in The Simpsons is Rusty Nails.
Rusty Nails was the inspiration, in a kind of vague, weird, creepy way, for Krusty the Clown.
Matt was sitting in the studio audience, and he was probably around 14 years of age, and making notes. I went to him and asked what he was doing, and he said, well, I'm going to have a show of my own. And I said, great, go for it.
The difference is Krusty is Jewish and totally corrupt.
Krusty.
Shut your hole!
And Rusty Nails is a very, very religious Christian clown. And he's really sweet and nice.
Hi, girls and boys.
Post the other clowns getting involved in fast food, nobody came to you and said, we'd love to have you be the face of our food chain?
Krusty Burger is the official meat-flavored sandwich of the 1984 Olympics.
No. This is my apology to Rusty Nails if there's any inference that that the character Krusty is anything like Rusty.
Turns out, Portland didn't just inspire The Simpsons. The Simpsons also inspired Portland.
Donuts. Is there anything they can't do?
Tell me about Homer Simpson. Is he an inspiration for Voodoo Donuts?
How could Homer not be an inspiration to Voodoo Donuts? I mean, the man could keep us in business for years alone.
Have all the donuts in the world!
Homer donut, bacon donut, paradise.
biggest reason The Simpsons has been such a huge success isn't just the cast or the great writing, it's the fans. And some of them have interesting ways of showing their appreciation.
So I hear you have a Milhouse tattoo.
I do. I've always liked Milhouse, and growing up, like as a Jewish, nerd with glasses with divorced parents, it's hard to have any representation on TV. No matter what hits him, you know what I mean. He can watch his dad cry alone in an apartment, but at the same time, still have the gusto to carpe diem the next day.
Milhouse? A Milhouse tattoo?
How can someone with glasses that thick be so stupid?
You've got to be a committed fan to tattoo Milhouse on your arm.
But if you think a Milhouse tattoo shows commitment, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Apparently this is the sickest, craziest, biggest, best, most dedicated Simpson fan with the best tattoo on the face of the earth. That is amazing. All the way from this love handle, all the way over to that one. That's my kind of crazy. You think you're a fan? That's a fan. That's a fan.
I've had guys chase me down at conventions telling me, an episode GF5409, what did that mean when? I'm like, oh God, help, somebody help me.
And there's no better place for these guys to get chased by rabid fans than San Diego Comic-Con. There's a certain uninhibited sensibility that runs throughout Comic-Con, and after spending 5 minutes here, I can tell these are my kind of people.
All of my life lessons have come from The Simpsons.
If I've learned anything from The Simpsons, is that if anything goes wrong, I didn't do it, and to blame it on someone else. In this case, Morgan Spurlock.
We held a special casting session to find the truly devoted Simpsons fans, the cream of the obsessed crop. So tell us why you are the Simpsons superfan.
At least 18 of the 30 days in any given month I'm wearing the Simpsons shirt. There's zero reasons not to be. It's the greatest thing on TV.
Well, it comes on at 6 o'clock, 7:30, and 11, so I try to catch all those.
What's the cat lady's name?
Eleanor Abernathy.
What's Kent Brockman's given name?
Kenny Rockelstein?
How much does Bart sell his soul for?
$5. Which of the bullies is Jewish?
Kearney? I forget. Dolph.
You gotta know the answer.
Which of the writers is Jewish?
All of them?
Have you ever been bullied by bullies?
I think everybody here has.
Yeah.
This is Lisa in The Secret War of Lisa Simpson.
If we air this on Fox, they have to tattoo Matt Groening's name on every drawing.
Homer, I think you should stop drinking.
Oh, sure, Marge. I'm gonna stop doing something that makes me have fun.
Give us a
Don't!
Fox sucks.
Fox sucks!
I am an unauthorized Homer.
I am an unauthorized Homer Simpson.
Now, when you first saw Comic Book Guy, did you say, I'm going to turn into that? Or were you already sort of like that?
But physically, I was already like that.
How do you feel being at Comic-Con?
Worst insert noun ever.
As fantastic as Comic-Con was, I had to get back on the road to find more fanatics. I had to meet the collectors. I found Jeremy Wilcox in Queens, who has stuffed his 10-by-10 bedroom with Simpsons memorabilia.
You sleep in here at night, too.
Sadly, yes.
Oh, my. Then there's Noel Bankhead of North Carolina, who curates what he calls the Simpsonian Institute.
It says The Simpsons on it, I have to have it.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. It can be a used sock.
But if I was truly going to find the Simpsoniest one of them all, I'd have to head across the pond. I'm going to the home of Glenn Williams, who apparently has the largest collection of Simpsons memorabilia on the planet. Like, reportedly, this is what we read in the paper, he's got like 30,000 pieces of Simpsons memorabilia in his house. Hi, I'm Morgan.
I'm Glenn.
Glenn, how are you?
Morning, Morgan.
Oh my gosh. It's already here in the hallway. It's everywhere. Wow. Gosh, I mean, look at, they got life-size Marge. Squishy flavored. It's unbelievable and a little frightening. His collection was pretty overwhelming. That is, until I realized that this was just the tip of the iceberg.
It's my world. This is the treehouse.
Treehouse of horror.
Glyn sacrificed Christmas presents and birthday presents so people in the family and friends have bought him Simpsons stuff.
It's an investment. Yeah, see that?
It's the grandchildren's inheritance.
So does he have a list of things? He's like, if you're going to buy me something, buy me this. And by the way, here's the link on eBay.
Yes.
You do that?
Yes.
This is mainly glassware and china. This is kind of school stuff, pencils, pencil cases, desk tidies, car care kits, valet kits.
There is not a product that they won't put their name on.
No.
I thought Glenn was the only crazy one in the house, till I was led into his wife's secret room. Turns out, collecting runs in the family.
You're not allowed to say anything.
No, I'm just as sad as him, I'm afraid. Everybody says that.
Sad or not, if it weren't for people like Glenn, we probably would have lost Homer years ago. So cheers, Glenn, and thanks.
Okay, I'd love for you to tell me why you are such a fan of The Simpsons.
It's funny, and it's smart, and it's social satire. My personal favorite song on is the Mr. Plow theme song.
Call Mr. Plow, that's my name, that name again is Mr. Plow.
You can imagine, you know, a Zen monk sitting on the top of a mountain for 15 years just thinking about that. Like, what is identity made manifest through this Mr. Plow? I've done 7 interpretations of the Mr. Plow theme song. The blues version, the psychedelic version, the punk rock version. This is a really embarrassing old school hip hop version of Mr. Plow.
Say what's the name? Mr. Plow. What's the name? Mr. Plow. Say what's the name? Mr. Plow. M-I-S-T-E-R Plow. Say what's that mean? It's Mr. Plow. You don't read the word if you don't know how. I'm there when it's sleeping with my snow plow. That's how I got the name. That's Mr. Plow. After sunset, before the sunrise, I'm there with the plow before you open your eyes. 1, 2, 3. Say what's the name? Mr. Plow. What's that mean? Mr. Plow. Say what's the name? Mr. Plow.
Promise you'll never do that again.
All right.
If The Simpsons were a live-action TV show, they probably would have been yanked off the air by minute 3 of their first episode. But as an animated TV show, they can get away with murder. And a whole lot more.
This is for the United States of America.
Chinese Boswell! Serious this time!
Shut up your mouth! So here's a show that comes on at a time when most shows that breach this kind of subject matter would have to be on later, and it gets away with it.
You could make all kinds of inappropriate jokes and get away with it because they're big yellow people with googly eyes.
But being animated hasn't stopped them from courting real-life controversy.
Remember George Bush, the first, was all upset about it?
Make American families a lot more like the Waltons and a lot less like the Simpsons.
Remember him? You thought he was bad at the time.
Barbara Bush, the First Lady of America, she called it the stupidest thing she'd ever seen. I think now, hey, look at your kid, you know?
Nowadays, we get for making fun of Jesus and for sodomy jokes and whatnot, but back then it was, this kid is talking back to his parents.
You don't think much of me, do you, boy?
No, sir.
I think the best comedy is always offending somebody.
I think it takes kind of a healthy disrespect for everything Americans hold dear.
And a lot of times we've been lucky in offending exactly the right people. And we said, well, this will certainly offend these people who we don't like, and it does, and we're quite thrilled with that.
And Bill Donahue of the Catholic League has made an entire career out of being offended.
The Catholic League was founded in 1973 by Father Virgil Bloom. We're basically here to hold up a stop sign. When people may cross the line into disdain, disparagement, insult. November '98 in particular was the first time that the phones were ringing off the hook about The Simpsons.
Mom, can we go Catholic so we can get communion wafers and booze?
What are Catholics supposed to be? A piñata? Are we supposed to be like the guy that you can just beat up on?
One of my favorite offensive moments was one when we were trying not to be offensive, but were accused of it. There was a Super Bowl episode.
We get this gal, skimpily, a buxom girl, and she's running around with the big cross saying, hey, it's a great thing to be Catholic, but everything has changed in our society.
it leaves an impression in the mind of the viewer that the Catholic Church really is something that's fair game to be ridiculed and mocked in some form or another.
The network calls and says, you can't say the Catholic Church.
What it does is I think it eats away at the moral prestige of the Catholic Church.
I tried to explain that isn't the joke. We're not attacking their religion. It's just a crazy association with this commercial. It's about Super Bowl commercials. And they kept arguing the point, no, it's offensive, it's offensive. And finally, he said, all right, I'll tell you what we can compromise. Could you change it to Methodist?
How about Methodist? No.
To all you Catholics out there, we meant nothing by it.
Bill Donahue may be overly concerned with the lasting effects The Simpsons has had on the Catholic Church, but that's nothing compared to what The Simpsons have done to nuclear power.
Here I am at the nuclear power plant in Port Gibson, Mississippi. I'm going to see if The Simpsons does these uranium jockeys justice. I'm Morgan.
I'm Richard.
Richard, pleasure to meet you. How do you think Homer and The Simpsons portray nuclear power?
It's definitely not reality.
Gum used to seal crack in cooling tower. Plutonium rod used as paperweight.
I think it's probably fair to say that most Americans learn about nuclear energy from The Simpsons. I don't think anybody in our industry would tell you that it's a fair representation.
Chair goes round, chair goes round.
Where's Sector 7G?
Warning, problem in Sector 7G.
I don't know what that is.
That's where Homer works.
There are no Homers in the control room. In fact, he wouldn't even pass the psychology evaluation to get into the pipeline to try to be a nuclear power employee.
There's a problem with the reactor? We're all gonna die! Ah! Ah! Run!
We hear a lot about Blinky the fish.
And nothing irks the nuclear power industry quite as much as Springfield's favorite little mutant.
Really, a lot of the facilities we have today are home to endangered species. Manatees live near these sites in Florida.
Ah! An Oakley Boakley!
No three-eyed fish around here?
No three-eyed fish.
No two-headed dogs?
No two-headed dogs.
Have you seen any three-eyed fish in the water around the...
I have not.
I once saw a two-headed cow in Kansas.
Did you?
I did.
I've never been to Kansas, but I have seen a two-headed cow.
See?
My name is Professor Paul Halpern of the University of the Sciences, and I would like to talk about the episode 2 Cars in Every Garage and 3 Eyes on Every Fish.
All right, three-eyed fish.
In real life, 3-eyed fish, whenever they've been found, have been only hoaxes. Here we have an example of a fish. As you can see, this fish has 2 eyes. Therefore, the fish found near Springfield's nuclear power plant could not have been real.
Hey, you never know.
There's a lot of reasons why The Simpsons are loved by so many different people, but there's one reason in particular that folks keep coming back to. What do you love about the show?
Homer.
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 Homer. Homer.
Homer.
Homer Simpson. Why you like Homer?
Because he's such an idiot.
Shut up, Brain, or I'll stab you with a Q-tip.
A guy like Homer seems a lot of fun, but really from a distance.
He just lives so in the moment. He's so all id. He is as happy as anybody can be. He is as angry as anybody can be. He is as loving as anybody can be. He is as petty as anybody can be.
Homer, you're not talking to me. And secondly, I heard what you said.
I think it was John Swartzwelder who said that writing Homer, you have to approach it as if you're writing a dog who can talk.
Floor pie.
But as much as we Americans love Homer, turns out that all around the world, that love is universal.
It's possible that they look at Homer and they go, that's what Americans are like. So there's a little bit of laughing at us and not with us.
Fattening.
He's fat, he's lazy, he's obnoxious, he's crazy.
Americans, they like the finer things in life, like donuts and beer and hot dogs and pretzels.
But you love him, yeah? Everyone loves Homer Simpson.
I think everyone can see a bit of themselves in Homer, or at least one of the other characters.
But TV, be more funny!
It's one of the shows that puts down America, that makes fun of America, that doesn't have to have the attitude, America's #1 and there's nothing wrong with us.
USA! USA! USA!
What does the show teach you about America?
We're America.
No country has been more outspoken in their love for The Simpsons than Argentina. Here in the land of tango, mate, and copyright infringement, The Simpsons movie was the highest-grossing film of 2007, and Homer is everywhere on the streets of Buenos Aires. Argentines love The Simpsons so much that they actually have a Duff brewery. Lucas Puyal started it back in 2007. How did you start bottling Duff beer?
We was watching The Simpsons.
Who wants to party?
I went to the kitchen, I opened the fridge, and I think, why not have a Duff here?
Yeah, I want a Duff. Yeah. Now, what's been the response from America? Are they happy that you're making Duff beer?
I don't know.
Americans love it so much, in fact, that Fox has a pending lawsuit against the Duff Brewery. Oh, yeah. Are they like your family?
Yes.
Yeah?
We have the people like Mo, people like Seymour Skinner, teachers like Krappabel who are single and desperately looking for a man.
I have a tattoo.
You have a tattoo?
Yes, it's of the stone cutters.
Oh, the stone cutters?
Yes, it's in my back.
Yeah.
Oh, that. It's just a birthmark, and I'll thank you not to stare.
To the Simpsons!
Why is Simpsons so successful? People have a lot of theories as to why that's the case. Here's the one thing no one talks about. Their eyes look like boobs.
I feel like I could go anywhere in the world, and if they were about to put a knife in me, I could quickly draw, you know, a Bart and hold it up and go, right. And they'd be like, let him go. Let this one go. I'm not sure what country I'm in when I do that, but...
This is the greatest thrill of my life!
But as much as the world loves Homer, there's no question that he's caused his family a share of rocky moments over the years. As a parent, what does the show teach you about parenting?
What not to do.
Yeah.
Homer's not a perfect dad. Bart's obviously not a perfect son. Marge is just trying to hold it all together.
But it's so dysfunctional of a family.
What was that? Who cares?
By having a nuclear family and having them dysfunctional, tapped into everyone feeling kind of like their own family is dysfunctional.
It's just hard not to listen to TV. It's spent so much more time raising us than you have.
I think The Simpsons could very well be on our show. It'd be such a poster for dysfunction that, frankly, I would well up just watching them.
I need a hug.
I don't want you even to talk about dysfunction. This is a perfect couple.
Cara mia.
They love each other.
Jim Brooks always said that the reason we love Homer is because Marge loves Homer. But I also think that we love Homer because Homer loves Marge.
No matter what else, when it comes down to it, the family sticks together.
I don't think The Simpsons would work if you didn't believe that Marge and Homer loved each other. And you do.
The secret is that they talk to each other, that they have a relationship. I'm a lucky woman.
And I'm a wonderful man.
That they don't just have sex.
Actually, the sex is really good. Yeah.
One of the things I love about current fandom is that people are so invested in the show that they are willing to criticize the show to our faces.
The people who say it was never as good as it was 5 years ago, it's like, well, neither are you. That's the problem.
There's nobody who ever went online to read comments about anything they've done that doesn't come away with one sullen head someplace who says a thing that you'd have to have surgically removed from your brain.
I think the internet message boards used to be a lot funnier 10 years ago. And I've sort of stopped reading their new posts.
Over the past 20 years, the Simpsons family has literally traveled around the world.
10,000 yen for coleslaw?
I'll endanger you!
And while most countries are grateful to be featured on the show, not every nation is in love with America's first family of television.
The Simpsons are going to Antarctica next year. This year, Brazil.
In 2002, The Simpsons caused quite a stir when the family visited Rio de Janeiro. Portrayals of teleboobies, kidnapping, and colored rats were not taken lightly.
Ooh, they look like Skittles.
I met with Paula Gobi, former head of the foreign press in Brazil, to find out why the country of sex and samba was so offended by the casual observations of The Simpsons. the people of Brazil understand that the show offends everybody?
No, they didn't understand that. You know, like an adolescent, they are still very sensitive to criticism. The sore that it raised is still there in Rio de Janeiro. It's 7 years later.
With limited time in Rio, I had to check out what the city is most famous for: parties and beaches. And if I learned anything from this episode of The Simpsons, it's what to wear.
Excuse me, Americans, there is a dress code on this beach.
Here in Brazil, we have a thing that we call the Brazilian way.
The drunkenness, the ambiguous sexuality.
We were born like this. We're not like bad people.
I thought the people were most offended by the monkeys. The fact of these monkeys running after them in the shanty town.
I am like sugar to them.
It made Rio look like a very backward city.
Do you feel like that episode hurt Brazil? Yeah.
This is not jungle. This is a city, a big city like Mexico, New York.
Brazil has lots of structural problems. So like problems with the security, problems with the health system.
No monkey gangs?
No monkey gangs.
No? Okay.
There's monkeys in Rio de Janeiro, and actually I think that's something that's really beautiful. The beauty, the sun, the people, the music, the rhythm, the vibration.
The rats painted like Skittles.
For The Simpsons, stirring up controversy has always been a badge of honor. But it turns out, Brazil isn't the only place where the show has sown the seeds of unrest.
Scotland's a far cry from the tranquil streets of Springfield, but the country of Haggis and Braveheart is home to one very famous Springfieldian.
Willie?
While there's no question Scotland is Willie's homeland, his actual hometown is still a matter of debate. On opposing sides of the divide, former Glasgow Provost Liz Cameron and Aberdeen football coach Mark McGee. Each of them is leading their respective city in a fierce battle to claim Willie as their own.
So how do you know that Groundskeeper Willie is a Glaswegian?
Some years ago, he fell in love with an English nanny.
Sherri, Bobbins and I were engaged to be wed back in the old country.
She spurned him. He was completely and utterly bereft.
Suddenly, the ugliest man in Glasgow wasn't good enough for her.
For Glasgow, that's all the evidence they need. But 145 miles to the north in the highland town of Aberdeen, a very different story is being told. The town and its very popular football team know for sure that Willie is one of them.
What? Go Aberdeen! Go Aberdeen!
I met with Coach Mark McGee to get the full story. Apparently, they say he's Glaswegian.
I think all the evidence for me points to him being an Aberdonian. He doesn't speak with a Glaswegian accent. He doesn't dress in any sort of Glaswegian way.
An Aberdeen football club has more than just Willie's word as proof of where his allegiance lies.
We do, of course, have the photographs that we've unearthed. We can see clearly Willie here celebrating a goal.
Even with Mark McGee's photographic evidence, the feud shows no signs of dying. So the world may never know from where Willie actually hails, but one thing is certain. He definitely left his ginger-haired mark in the hearts and minds of those who know him stateside.
North Americans were asked, what reminds them of Scotland? What do they associate when they think of Scotland and the Scots? And over the years, Scotland's given a number of gifts to the world. There's the TV, the telephone, there's penicillin, deep-fried Mars bars, Loch Ness Monster, Dolly the Cloned Sheep with Sean Connery, and even Susan Boyle. And eventually, when it came back, there was only one winner, and it was Groundskeeper Willie.
Ah! There's no more than what God gave me, you Puritan pukes!
The Simpsons has been on the air for such a long time that even diehard fans probably take it for granted. At this point, the show's like running water or electricity or the absence of the Berlin Wall. But to truly appreciate the impact the show has had, we have to do the unthinkable and imagine what it would be like if The Simpsons never existed.
If The Simpsons never existed, the world would have been destroyed in a nuclear holocaust a long time ago. This is the show that has kept the world alive and the world laughing instead of killing.
Desolation.
I mean, cultural desolate. Without The Simpsons, it'd be like, a Cormac McCarthy novel. Just scorched earth, nothing.
I think I would be loading tires in a warehouse, and I'd be drawing pictures of the foreman on the walls during my breaks.
I would be a professional ballroom dancer.
Well, I'd probably be looking for acting jobs.
My world would be a lot worse, I would have to say.
I'd be a lot poorer. I wouldn't be living in Malibu.
I would have a much uglier wife, I think.
I don't know what the world would be like without Beethoven's Fifth,
If The Simpsons had never existed, I think I would probably be a math teacher.
Probably be still back in Colorado.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be doing a whole lot with math.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know what we would have done.
We'd still have So You Think You Can Dance and America's Next Dance, and now that's what I call dancing.
Well, I don't want to imagine that. It's a horrible thought. A world without The Simpsons. How ridiculous.
So my goal from the very beginning was to invade pop culture. That was my goal as an underground cartoonist. See how far I could carry this. And I consider every aspect of The Simpsons beyond the show as part of that whole strategy. My advice to any cartoonist out there is to try to make yourself laugh. Don't worry about what other people think is funny. Do what you think is funny. That's where the best stuff comes from.
It wasn't even in 3D.
And where were the ice skaters? Again, TV, you have misled us. Stupid lying fox. Oh, wait, here comes something.
Okay, kids, here it comes. Put on your 3D glasses. 3, 2, 1.